Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Randy Rex Show. I have another great episode on my hands. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy to see you. A lot of this is me being vulnerable. Like I mentioned in the last episode, this is kind of like a safe space for me to be my authentic self. And one thing that I have going on right now in my life is the Ahead app. That is no paid partnership. I'm not getting paid to say this to you. And, part of the reason I'm even saying that to you now is because one day I hope to be being paid saying things to you. But this is not one of them, sadly. I actually paid them. I bought the year subscription because it is so good. And it really just kind of like helps you navigate difficult things in your life. Like it's not therapy or anything like that, but every lesson you do, which are like really quick, like maybe like 3 to 6 minute lessons. It really just varies, but they're not very long. And I always learn something from it. But before every lesson, they will reference the material that they're using. So this is like credible stuff, actual tools and resources, proven sciences, proven studies to help you, navigate like there's a multitude of courses you can go through, but I'm going through like the anger one and the procrastination one right now. And so like really, aside from my love of the app, my main reason of even mentioning that is my anger and like just the fact that I have issue that I don't have a safe space to be angry. And then I thought, I do have a safe space to be angry. So, today I was driving like an idiot because I was angry about something that happened at a store. And that's the kind of stuff that you can't do. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you can end a life. You could end your life. That's stuff that you can't take back. And when I say you, I'm talking to myself. Like, what am I doing? And that just goes to show you the multitude of ways that not dealing with your shit can where it can land you. And I don't want to be another statistic. Like I know I'm very fortunate. I know I'm very lucky to be here right now today. Like there's been so many times in life where things could have turned out very differently for me. And I am working on obviously my anger, my procrastination, but I'm also working on giving myself credit for things that I've done. That's not something that comes naturally to me, but I have put in a lot of work in myself, and I feel it a lot of the time, every day. Or maybe that's just my age, but that's pretty much kind of like my headspace right now. This happened today, but let's go ahead and get on with the show. So, Survivor 48, episode 6. At the beginning of the episode, Cedric tells us that right before Tribal, he finds out that Bianca is pitting them against each other. And he only had time to tell Chrissy, which is why it was only himself and Chrissy that voted for Bianca. And he's, you know, trying to tell us and trying to tell her, like, hey, you're the reason why I'm the reason why you're still here. So check your attitude, girl. And really, she did. She was very feisty, and I'm the same way. So, I'm no better than anybody here. I can definitely relate to where she was coming from. But like her, like how she did, I hope that I would be able to, like, then take in that information and reassert myself, because that's what she did. And it's something to be admired, and it's something to um, aspire to do and aspire to be for everybody. In this episode, we get the merge, or the merge before the merge, whatever you're calling it, whatever they're calling it in this new era of Survivor. But everyone drops their buffs. No one has a buff. No one has a tribe. They're like in limbo right now, and they're on one camp. They're in one camp together, and there is an advantage in the immunity challenge. So everyone scurries around like crazy, and it looks like Charity's gonna get it, but Say comes out of nowhere and she secures the advantage. So the merge before the merge, everyone that was connected before they were mixed up kind of embraces each other and checks out where they all are and if they still have each other's backs. Then we get to the challenge. It is a challenge for the feast, the food that they would normally just give them at the merge. So they're divided into two teams of six. Say is the one that is left out, having found that advantage. She automatically advances into the final round, where the two teams of six battle it out, and whoever wins, they all compete for individual immunity. Now, everyone on that winning team, including Say, they get their winning the feast. And then the second part of the challenge is them competing for immunity. So this is something that they're doing a little different finally in this new era of Survivor, where 41 through 47, it was always like that whole team was going to be safe. And then you could only vote for like the six people that lost. And I hated that so much. I loved that they did this and they opened it up, even though it was still only between Mitch and Charity. Spoiler alert, like the vote, it's not even between Mitch and Charity, it's between Say and Charity. So Charity and Mitch are on the same team. So even if they did it the way that they have been doing it recently and they lost, they both would be eligible to be voted out. But let's just say they were split up, then it would automatically be one or the other. Whereas this way, it just like opens it up like a normal challenge, a normal round of Survivor, where when you have the immunity challenge, you have one winner. It's an individual immunity at that point, and everyone is eligible to be voted for, unless, of course, they have like an idol or something. So Kyle ends up winning the immunity, and his team goes to the feast. They do a little bit of talking about who they would vote out, and Eva's name does come up. Star kind of has really come out in her own this episode, in her really own unique, quirky way. And I'm so grateful and I'm so fortunate that I picked her for my Survivor draft, because I really love her as an individual. And if she wins, that's just going to make it a double win for me, because I love her so much and I won the draft. But you know, at the very beginning, like right kind of when they're done eating, Mary is like, should we talk? She's the one to kind of, it looks like she's the one to bring up strategy. And then Star's like, oh, I'm not afraid to throw someone's name out there. Someone, a relative of hers, I think his name was Ronnie, told her not to put a name out there, but she's like, I'll put a name out there. And I think she puts Eva's name out. So before they go to tribal, there's a couple of different things that I want to talk about here. We get a scene between old Vula. That is that tribe at the beginning that we got to know really well at the beginning of this season. They kept losing They went to tribal 3 times in a row, technically 4 times in a row after the swap because that tribe still lost. We see them talking about the vote. The people that they're talking about are Eva, Joe, and Charity. Now, I find this very interesting, and it's something that sticks out in my brain, and it's one of the things that I love to. I don't know. It's just like a weird, like compulsive obsession of mine when it comes to Survivor, where we had this tribe that was so exposed at the beginning of the game. We saw them lose competition after competition. They didn't have any of their supplies because they kept losing. They had to keep voting their people out. Just all of this stuff. They got whittled down to half of the tribe. There's just three of them. And it's just so interesting that they're showing us this scene between the three of them talking, and even more so with the whole dynamic between Mary and Say, and how much they were at each other's throats, and then they were seemingly able to come around and be partners. Like, that's amazing. That's a beautiful thing to see. You don't really see that a lot in Survivor. So the fact that that is a through line even still here in this episode, where not only is it Mary and Say still having that connection, but they're bringing it full circle and bringing in the one other person that has been along this like crazy ride with them in Cedric. There's this other moment with Cedric right after the competition, the challenge, where he kind of breaks down and Star is there to comfort him, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. And she really is just, this, like I said before, this is such a breakout episode for Star because she's just showing herself in so many different um magnitudes and so many different layers. Like, she's like, don't do this, we're not gonna do this, like, you'll be fine. I don't know if she said that, but that's basically what she's telling him. And she's trying to be a cheerleader for him. She's trying to pep him up from all of the negative things that I'm sure he's thinking from performing so badly in the challenge. Another thing in their reward, their merge feast at the sanctuary, I'm assuming, is Say also talks about wanting Eva out. So it's a big thing in Survivor. In Rob Has a Podcast, where they always talk about these analogies, and this tribal was chock full of them. Where they're always talking about, like, oh, in Survivor, you're either the driver, you're in the driver's seat, or you're the passenger, or just like some whatever analogy, like not whatever analogy, but like there's just been so many. I can't even think of any except for that one, and then the ones in this episode. He just asked, like, what has it been? What was it like at camp? And Shahan, I'm so sorry that I have been saying your name wrong. And if I'm still saying it wrong, I'm so sorry. I'm trying. I'm from the bottom of my heart, because I've been saying Shaheen, and Shaheen is not right. It's Shahan. But or I think it is. I hope it is. But at this point, I'm sorry. I feel so bad. But he gives that brilliant analogy of like being used to going to small intimate dinner parties, and then like now you're going to like this giant house party, because Jeff asked them what it was like at camp, and then Mary says, it's like they're all dogs and they're at the dog park and trying to feel each other out. Some people are you know off in the corner doing nothing. Some other people are trying to be the biggest dog in the dog park. Um, Kyle says something about he feels like they're just all like sniffing each other's butts, which makes Jeff laugh, and he's happy about that because apparently he's been trying to make Jeff laugh for like these whole 14 days. um, but then, Jeff does go back to Shahan's analogy about the party, and that, like, the starting tribe is kind of like that small, intimate dinner party. And then you get invited to a different party. I'm assuming he's talking about like the swap. And he's like, maybe you'll take some people with you, but you'll see what these other people have going on over here in their party. Like, what kind of music are they listening to? What dances are they doing? And, Jeff does his little dancing. And then, of course, he's like, And then you get here to Club Condo, like this big party, and I freak out because I mean, I'm sitting here talking about Survivor, but the reason, like, those are, there are two components. There's like the Survivor part, and then there's the me actually being out here talking about it. So like, there's the show element of Survivor, and the talking part about it is like really 100%. Like, a lot of people would say, yeah, give yourself credit, Randy, but like Rob is the motivation. Like, that whole podcasting world really is the other component of me being here. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're talking about that. I can't believe he said that. But it was so silly, and it worked perfectly. And he talked about like not wanting to be invited back to Club Condo because that means you're still in the game. Wrapping up Tribal Council was such a beautiful moment. Again, another episode, and it wasn't as dramatic. It was kind of subtle. It wasn't as dramatic as last episode, but Joe does talk to Eva and ask her like how she's handling being around so many people now that they're at the merge and there's like 13 people at camp instead of 6 or 5 or whatever. And she's like, it's fine. I love to talk to people. I can talk to people, but I just don't know if they're lying to me. That's like a part that I just don't, something that she can't suss out. But she has talked to everyone, and ultimately she's just going off of like hope that she can trust these people. And then Joe chimes in about like trust and being vulnerable around the other tribe members and how that bonds them. And then that kind of trickles down into this beautiful moment. Shahan mentions, he's told his tribe mates things that he's never even thought that he would ever tell his closest friends and family back at home. Like, he hasn't told them that, but he's told his tribe mates that. And it's just like the being out there on the island and playing the game, because they all start nodding, and he's like, they're all nodding because they know exactly what I'm talking about. They agree with me. There was a cute little moment between Charity and Star where Charity kind of talks about it being complicated at camp and just playing the game because you're playing the game with real people. Obviously, you get to know them, you like them, you love them, but at the same time, you're there to play a game with, but like, these people end up being like your family. So it's complicated, it's difficult. And Star's like, I have members of my family I don't like. So I can definitely vote you guys out. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I love Star. Just another example of her really showing her beautiful self in just the most natural ways in this like little pop in the episodes. It was so beautiful. I loved it. So they vote. We, you're gonna be surprised, but I'm not joking. We get another Star moment. She's just such a beautiful soul. When she goes into the booth to vote, she's just like really feeling it. She's doing her little dance, which is already enough of a showcase. But when she goes to get the marker, oh my God, it's so funny. Like, when she takes the marker off the cap, it literally goes flying like off camera. Oh my God, I nearly died. I could not believe her, and then her reaction. Oh my God, she is just such a ball of smiles and laughter and love and fun. I love that woman. Really, 3 people get votes this tribal. Um, Say votes for Cedric. Lord knows why. Just to vote for him since he's voted for her. I guess she just has to do that, which again, I would do something like that. Then it's between Charity and Say. It is a vote 7-5. So it was so close. It could have been a tie vote, but it was 7 to vote out Charity. And Charity is voted out, does not make the merge, does not make the jury, and she is gone from the game. And if you're, I don't know your level of Survivor, I'm like, obviously I love Survivor. I'm sitting here talking about it with you all. I'm editing these videos, I'm putting them out there for God knows who to see. I'm just doing it for my love of the game and for my love of attention and being on the spot in the spotlight. But wherever you fall in your Survivor fandom, even me, like it penetrated my little world where people were criticizing Charity for being MAGA or seemingly being MAGA, and obviously, where I stand with that. But I don't know. I just didn't really even intend to mention it here because there is such a line for me with like something that I love and something that I cherish and want to hold dear to my heart and something that is not as easy. So I either way, like I think just with what we were shown of Charity as is, I think it was a fitting exit. Like, we didn't get a lot of content from her thus far. So the fact that she's gone, it kind of makes sense. I'm not going to say that I'm happy that she's gone because she's a potentially like some sort of like MAGA person who has some crazy political views or, whatever. I don't even know. She could be the farthest thing from, which is why I would never make that stance without like more information. So there's that bit of this, but she's gone now, so there really isn't much more to talk about. But that was out there, like people were saying like, oh, apparently she's MAGA, Charity's MAGA. We need to get. I hope she's gone soon. But she's friends with Mitch. Mitch was like her closest ally there. So who's to say? And that's not even to say that um really determines anything or says anything, but it is a factor and it's something that we're all privy to. It's a piece of information out there. So to not include that would be kind of like doing a disservice to her in the situation. Charity's gone. And it's just so interesting because like I said, we have the original Vula with Cedric, Say, and Mary still in the game. They're seemingly very close with each other. We have Siva, who just took their first hit, Kyle and Camilla, who are seemingly in the middle of everything and in control of everything and going to make it to the end of the game. That's what we're seeing every in the preview for the next episode. That's what we're seeing every episode. Even in this episode for the preview for the next one, we see Camilla talking about um sabotaging or like setting up Shahan for Lord knows what. And who's to say, like usually that stuff isn't always just so cut and dry when they show it to us like that. And then you have the old Loggy tribe. Shahan and Joe are with Kyle and Camilla, and then Star and Eva, or I mean, Eva's with Joe, and now Star seemingly with Eva. So I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen here. Is it like the old Vula is a really who's in the middle here, and it's not Camilla and Kyle like they think? Like I'm very excited about this season and what is gonna go on in the future. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I love Survivor. I love makeup. I love my family. I love a lot of more things. So hopefully the next time you see me, not only will I be talking about that other stuff, but I'll be talking about more things. I love you all, and I hope you are happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous. No, I'm just kidding.